Nice to meet you. And he's going to talk today about the effects of electromagnetic pollution and what we can do about that. Awesome.
Thank you. And actually, I'm not from Hippocrates Institute. I teach down at Hippocrates Institute on occasion. I'm based out of Daytona Beach, Florida. And I travel around the country and I do workshops and lectures. And I do teleseminars and teach people how to heal their bodies with living foods and detoxification, subconscious reprogramming of the mind, and emotional healing. And so one of the things I haven't heard anybody talk about yet is the issue of electromagnetic pollution. We are surrounded these days throughout the world in a sea of electromagnetic radiation. And it's not natural, it's man-made, and it's damaging our bodies. It's invisible. It's actually the #1 form of pollution now. It's the most widespread form of pollution on the planet. And even in the most remote locations on the planet, people are affected by it, and they don't realize it. It's not just cell phones and cell phone towers and radio and television and all the usual stuff that we're aware of. Our own environment, the atmosphere of the entire Earth is being affected by man-made electrical and electromagnetic devices on the planet, and it's causing a lot of health problems. So I'm going to talk about that, and I'm going to talk about the nature of matter and energy in our bodies and how it relates to food and consciousness and how it all interacts and what you can do about it. Because it's all very nice to understand it, but if you can't do anything about it, what's the big deal? So first of all, it helps to understand a little bit about the nature of matter and energy, and particularly with our bodies. And so if you look at what scientists teach about electromagnetism and energy, we're taught about what's called the electromagnetic spectrum, and that energy exists in this spectrum. And at the low end of the spectrum, you have very large waves. They call it extra low frequency waves, and then as you go up the frequency chart, you get into radio waves and television waves and microwaves and infrared and ultraviolet, visible light, and you go on up the chart till you get to the very top of the chart and you hit gamma radiation. Gamma radiation is what is in nuclear bombs. That's what kills people. That's what killed people in the atomic bombs in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. That's also what our food is being irradiated with nowadays. And so when you hear about, California almonds now all being irradiated, it's gamma radiation that they're irradiating it with. It's not some benign form of electromagnetic radiation. But what scientists don't understand is that that spectrum doesn't end on each end. What's being discovered now by very cutting-edge physicists and other scientists is that that spectrum continues on. So down below ELF waves, you get bigger and bigger and bigger waves. You get waves the size of entire planets, you get waves the size of entire solar systems, and you get waves the size of entire galaxies, and it probably goes on ad infinitum to the large end of the scale. And then on the small end of the scale, when you get up past gamma radiation, you start getting up into higher and higher frequencies that are so small, the waves are so small that they can't be measured by conventional radiation detection devices. And up in that realm, you're getting up into the realm of human consciousness. You've heard people say that we're all energy, we're made of energy, everything's made of energy. Well, what does that mean? Well, if you look at the human body, or you look at the ground, you look at this pole, you look at anything, and all of this matter and gas that we're immersed in, this whole reality is composed of atoms that are composed of atomic particles. They're composed of subatomic particles. They're composed of smaller and smaller and smaller subatomic particles. And eventually you get down to particles that occupy space, but they have no mass. And by definition, that's energy. And so what's being discovered is that at the core of everything, all of this physical multiverse that we exist in, the fundamental building blocks of it are simply little vibrating particle waves of energy. Sometimes they act like particles, sometimes they act like waves. And so when you hear somebody say that things are vibrational, I like his vibe or her vibe, what you're really talking about is two beings that are operating overall with certain frequencies, and when they come in proximity to each other, if they have similar frequencies, they actually amplify each other's frequencies. It's called resonance in physics. So you've got this electromagnetic soup that we're all living in. We're living in this universe of matter and energy. And so what we've done on this planet just in the past 100 years lots and lots and lots and lots of devices that use electricity in a way that is not the way nature designed to be used. And so we've got all of the electric grid on the planet, we've got all of these devices, every electrical device on this planet, the wiring in your house, and of course your cell phone. Even while I was coming here, I've got a rental car that's got a little fob that puts out an EM field, constant EM field, so that the car can operate when I'm in it. And it's amazing. So we're just immersed in a sea of electromagnetic pollution. Most of the United States is bathed in the sweep of radar guns from airports. Very strong radar fields. There are military communication systems that are constantly beaming very, very damaging low-frequency waves for communication systems to submarines and to other types of facilities underground and in mountainsides. And so these things, they permeate our environment. The electric grid itself, all of the wires going across the planet that run electricity everywhere. Anything that has electricity flowing through it creates a field around it, and that field interferes with our fields. We have natural fields from all of the cells in our body and the electrical systems in our body. So this has become a big problem, and the people that are studying this estimate that we have somewhere between 500 million and 5 billion times the amount of EM radiation in our environment that would naturally occur. So we're being heavily, heavily immersed in something that's interfering with our bodies. So how does it interfere with our bodies? Well, first of all, every cell in your body, it was discovered in 1994 by two Nobel Prize winners, Rodman and I forget the other Bell. They discovered that human cells not only communicate with electrical impulses, as we've all been taught, but also that human cells communicate with radio frequency and with sound. And so constantly in your body, you've got this gray matter up on top of your neck, inside your skull, that's constantly generating electrical impulses and sound frequencies and these very high frequency scalar waves that go out into the atmosphere. They come back into the physical body, and they also travel through the physical body, and they allow all of the cells to talk to each other. So all of the cells in your body are constantly talking to each other with radio frequency and sound and electrical impulses. So what's happened with all of this electro pollution on the planet is that you basically have all this chaotic energy bouncing around that's interfering with that cellular communication. It's kind of like static on a radio station. And so in the background, you've got this constantly going on, and your cells are trying to talk to each other, and all the while there's going on. And if you're in a particularly bad area of EMF, or if you're using a cell phone or something like that, it gets so loud that your cells can't hear each other, and they can't talk to each other. And if that happens for very long, you get things like cancer. The cells try to create more cells to do more communication. And so, in my experience in working with people, one of the, in a practical sense, one of the biggest problems that I see with electromagnetic pollution is with cell phones. Cell phones are microwave transceivers. They transmit and they receive microwave radiation. Well, your brain is a scalar wave transceiver. It transmits and receives scalar waves, which are just very, very high frequencies of energy. And the way that it works with your physical structure is that these high frequency waves, they go out into the surrounding area around your body. And if your body has enough conductivity, and specifically superconductivity in the nervous system, those thought forms go out and they actually slow down into other forms of energy, into what's called tachyon energy, and they become physical. They actually, that's how we manifest our reality. You've all heard we create our reality. Well, it's not just a philosophical treatise. We physically create our reality by sending out these scalar waves and these particle waves that, depending on their duration and their intensity and frequency, they slow down and they become physical matter. And within the body, they come in contact, somewhere these high frequency energies have to become physical, and they have to come in contact with physicality. And so within the body, they come in contact in what the Chinese call the acupuncture meridians of the body. And while the acupuncture meridians are superconducting junctures in the body, when you eat living foods, not just raw foods, but living foods, foods that are still growing, they're high in superconducting elements that plug into those junctures and raise the superconductivity. And these activities, like the exercises you just saw before us, Tai Chi, Qigong, yoga, all of these bodywork exercises, massage, all these different types of bodywork, they actually are ways of increasing the superconductivity in the nervous system and in these junctures. And when you open up that superconductivity, it opens up the physical structure to consciousness. It opens up the body to your own consciousness. It opens your body up to all other consciousness. And that's why you see people who are healthier and who are doing living foods and doing these things to maintain a high level of health. That's why they're more connected to each other. That's why they're more connected to nature, and they're more connected to other people and to God, however you conceive of that. And so with these energies, you can think of energy like waves at the beach.